Hey fellow scientists, it's Justin again, and welcome back to Science in the Real World, where we take a closer look at how science impacts our lives beyond school. In this unit, we learned all about how elements and compounds make up everything in the universe. That gives us endless choices when talking about science in the real world, so I thought if we could talk about anything, we'd talk about my favorite thing: food. By the end of today's lesson, you'll be able to describe how elements, molecules, and compounds relate to cooking. Let's get into it. Okay, so I might have an ulterior motive for wanting to talk about food. I have a friend coming over for dinner in an hour, which is great, except I haven't started cooking. But it's okay, because cooking in a kitchen is basically the same thing as working in a chemistry lab. Let me show you what I mean. First up is a fresh green salad. Yum. You've probably heard that eating your leafy greens is good for you, but do you know why? Well, for one, they're chock full of a lot of the elements your body needs. Spinach, for instance, has a lot of the element iron. Our bodies need iron to help blood carry oxygen through our bodies. Kale, another leafy green, has an abundance of the element calcium, which we need to maintain strong teeth and bones. When these essential elements come from our food, we refer to them as minerals. All right, now that we have our mineral-rich greens, let's mix up a salad dressing to go on top. For this, we'll need 2 ingredients: triglycerides and acetic acid, otherwise known as oil and vinegar. Oil and vinegar have been used as a salad dressing for more than 2,000 years, but I bet those ancient humans didn't know that each part of the dressing was a chemical compound. Vinegar is a compound of carbon, hydrogen, and oxygen. Its chemical makeup looks a bit like this. Oil is a special type of compound called a fat, which our bodies need to store energy, support cell growth, and help absorb certain vitamins. The atoms of a fat bond to each other in long chains, like a conga line of elements. This structure is what gives fats their slippery texture. When we mix these 2 compounds together, something interesting happens. Because of their chemical structures, oil and vinegar don't naturally mix. If you leave the dressing out to sit, the 2 compounds will separate. So we'll be sure to give them a nice shake before we dress our salad. Do you have a favorite bottle of dressing? While I finish up the salad, pause the video and go check the nutrition label on the back of the bottle if you can. See if you could find the amount of fat in the dressing. You may even be able to spot some mineral elements like potassium or sodium. And we're on to the main course. I thought we'd cook up some nice, juicy steaks. Have you ever noticed how different a raw steak looks and feels compared to a cooked one? It's a total transformation. And that's because cooking meat is a lot more than just warming it up. It's causing many, many chemical reactions. Meat is composed of long, string-like chemical compounds called proteins. When the meat is raw, the proteins are like bundled up balls of string. When heat energy is applied to the meat, the protein strings unfold and get tangled up with their neighbors. The longer the meat is exposed to heat energy, the more tightly the protein strings link together. That's why meat goes from being soft and squishy when it's raw to firm when it's cooked, and why a well-done steak can be harder to chew than a medium rare one. But the changing texture of the steak is just one chemical reaction that occurs during the cooking process. One of the tastiest is called the Maillard reaction. In this reaction, heat energy causes some of the bonds between proteins and sugars to break apart. The atoms in those compounds then rearrange themselves into ring-shaped structures. These rings give the food a rich, savory flavor and a beautiful brown color. And this reaction doesn't just happen with steak. It's also why bread gets a brown crust and why roasted turkey has that distinct mouth-watering flavor. And thus, with the power of science, I have 2 perfectly cooked steaks. You know what that means? time for dessert. If you thought cooking was full of chemical reactions, just wait until we bake some chocolate chip cookies. Baking is the most precise of the kitchen sciences. We have to be as careful with our measurements in the kitchen as we are in the lab to cause the chemical reactions needed to produce some delicious desserts. For example, baking soda is in almost every baking recipe, but it's not there to add flavor. Its sole purpose is to undergo a chemical reaction. Baking soda is a compound of sodium, carbon, oxygen, and hydrogen. When we mix it into our cookie dough and put it into the oven, something amazing happens. The heat causes the bonds of the baking soda to break down, which produces carbon dioxide gas. This gas forms tiny bubbles in the dough, making it rise and giving our cookies a light, airy texture. Have you ever noticed any other baked goods with what looked like holes or air pockets in them? How do you think they got there? Pause the video and record your thoughts in your guided notes. Cookies rising is not the only transformation happening in the oven. As the cookies bake, the sugar in the dough undergoes a process called caramelization. Caramelization is a chemical reaction where the bonds between sugar molecules break down. They then form new compounds that add a buttery, nutty flavor and a rich golden brown color to our cookies. The combination of the carbon dioxide bubbles from the baking soda and the caramelization of the sugar creates the texture and flavor that makes chocolate chip cookies so scrumptious. And look at that! While learning about cooking chemical compounds, we were able to prepare all the food for dinner. Ooh, and just in time. While I set the table, let's review everything we've learned today. Many foods contain elements our bodies need to function, called minerals. Cooking and baking cause many chemical reactions inside our food, including the Maillard reaction and caramelization. To review everything we've learned in this unit, be sure to check out the activities and practice questions that go with this lesson. Thank you so much for helping me cook today, scientists. Oh, sounds like my friend is here. Hi, Mia, you're just in time for dinner. It's all set. What? What do you mean robots don't eat food? Well, more for me then. Anyway, next time you're in the kitchen, you're not just a cook, you're a chemist. And remember, curiosity is the architect of discovery. See you next time. Hey.